Hey everybody, this is Maxine Taylor with another edition of my Trumpology Report. And I thought what I would do is give you a very brief thumbnail sketch of what is going to be happening in February in the United States and in Trump's chart. Again, we have no idea how it is going to manifest. The stars incline, they do not compel. So I'm going to give you the information, and then we're all going to wait and see how this works out, right? Let me make sure the sound is up here. Might suddenly get really loud. Okay. Let me first of all start with the United States chart. And let me get it in front of me. Here it is. Okay. I am a big eclipse astrologer. I love eclipses because whenever they occur, they accelerate movement forward. Now, the planets don't make us do anything, and the eclipses don't make us do anything. They reflect what's going on. So when I say they propel us forward, that's in quotes, all right? So, we have two eclipses in the month of February. The first one is February 10th. And this eclipse in the United States chart, now I use the Gemini Ascendant chart for those of you who study astrology. Why? Because it works for me, okay? Well, there are several United States charts out there. Every astrologer has their favorite. This is the one I use. The full moon, the lunar eclipse on February 10th, sits in the fourth house of the United States chart. Now, in a mundane chart, the fourth house deals with the land. It deals with the party out of power. It deals with real estate, with weather, very interesting, crops, farmers, and seniors. It's home family real estate in a birth chart. So this is the area that is kicked into activity, quote unquote, kicked into activity, February 10th. Now, we feel, quote unquote, we feel the effects of an eclipse till the next pair come along, but they're really strongest 3 to 4 months after they occur. So, May and June, this is when we will, as a country, as a nation, as a world, feel these eclipses. So, the interesting thing about this particular eclipse, sitting in our fourth house of domestic affairs and weather and land and crops and the party out of power, is that it is in opposition to our moon in the 10th house. The moon, in this case, represents, the 10th house represents the party in power and the president. But the moon in Aquarius, which is a marvelous sign, I love Aquarius, this can indicate a pulling away from the president on some level, pulling back from the president. Now, who's going to be doing that? Well, certainly the party out of power. How's it going to manifest? Your guess is as good as mine, but it's there. Also, this is not limited to any one group. So we're going to see a change moon in Trump's public image. Now, before I jump into the next eclipse, I want to tell you that the transiting sun, that's the sun going round and round now. Of course, the sun doesn't go round and round, we go round and round it. But for terminology's sake, the sun and Mercury are sitting on the United States midheaven between starting with the beginning of the month and going through approximately the 19th and the 20th. So that our public image, I say our because I'm a U.S. citizen, our public image is triggered and the sun brings light to it. So it's a very interesting combination message that we'll be seeing. Just watch it and see how it manifests. Okay, then we have a second eclipse in February. And this one is solar eclipse on the new moon. It lights up our public image, the presidency, etc. So this is very interesting. I want to mention, however, that there are some positive aspects from this and some not so positive aspects. First of all, the solar eclipse is going to be trining the United States planets, Venus, Jupiter, and the Sun, in our second house of money and income, our finances, the stock markets, banks, commerce. So it's very, very positive for our country from a financial standpoint. However, I didn't put all these planets in here because I don't want to make it confusing. So I'm just going to point. However, this eclipse squares the United States ascendant and Uranus. The ascendant represents, is the cusp of the first house, and it represents the political mood, the attitude, and public health. Well, when we have an eclipse squaring our ascendant, this can have it can create a difficult situation with the populace, particularly since Uranus is involved. And Uranus is the rebel. And so the mood of the people can be rebellious. Why? Well, pick a reason, any reason. So that's what is triggered with this eclipse that is bringing us to the limelight and yet causing a certain amount of rebellion in people. Now, Uranus rules the midheaven, which rules the president, and so there can be a certain amount of rebellion that is expressed toward the president. Okay, so this, remember, when you're president, you are a sitting duck. You gotta have a thick skin because you're gonna have people who love you and people who hate you. It goes both ways. Okay, then Venus and Mars are in the United States 11th house. Now, Venus is love, Mars is anger. The 11th house rules Congress. Isn't this interesting? Congressmen, legislation. It rules the Treasury. It rules friends. And so there can be a love-hate relationship going on in Congress between congressmen. Now, I want to see if there are any dates that I've made note of here. There are a couple in Trump's chart that I'm going to share with you, but let me just, okay, let me just make sure I've covered everything. With the Sun and Mercury up at the midheaven, we are in the limelight. The president is in the limelight. And as I mentioned, the love-hate relationship between those, amongst congressmen. Very, very interesting. Okay, that's the United States chart. There is so much more involved in a forecast. I've promised you a thumbnail sketch so you're not inundated with information that might be confusing to you. And I know that some of you out there study astrology and you want more, so my suggestion would be that you use whichever USA chart you prefer and do it yourselves. Look at it yourself. It's a marvelous adventure. Okay, now let's look at Trump's chart. Okay. First of all, the lunar eclipse on February 10th is in his 12th house. So he's pulling back. He's working behind the scenes. Lots of behind the scenes activities going on. The eclipse is in 22 Leo. It sits on his Mars, right behind his ascendant. Mars is the planet of anger. Mars is the planet of war. It's what comes first to us. It's what we're passionate about. And so there is a lot of anger, which we will probably see because Mars is very close to his ascendant. But we will not know the depth or the details of what's going on in his 12th house because the 12th house is behind the scenes activities. It deals with our hidden enemies. Now, in a person's chart, it can deal with hidden enemies as well, but more so in a mundane chart like the chart for a country. So there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes anger and fighting, perhaps verbally. These are also our hidden enemies. And in Trump's case, his hidden enemies, because this is not the chart of the country, this is the chart of a person. So we won't necessarily know what's going on. However, his public image looks good. I didn't put all this in here. His public image looks good at this time. So I think he's just getting angry and getting busy. Now, the new moon, the solar eclipse on February 26th, sits right there in his 7th house. The 7th house deals with our open enemies. They also deal with our allies, which can be one and the same. And the 7th house deals with contracts, negotiations. In a mundane chart, it rules war, it rules marriage. Well, in a person's chart, it rules marriage too. But this is the getting out there and being with other people house. So you can see the first eclipse is getting off by himself. The second eclipse is being out there with other people. This can deal with all of his relationships. And I want to mention this. The Sun and Mercury, the Sun, the giver of life, Mercury, what we think about and talk about, are both in his 6th house of work, health, and service. However, they move into the Sun, Mercury first, and then the Sun, into the 7th house of negotiations and contracts and relationships. And so you've got a mixed message here, don't you? The 6th house placement helps him with his staff, with his employees, and the 7th house with the one-on-one relationship with everybody in his life. Now, Mars and Venus, very, very interesting. Venus is the great benefic, Mars is passion, so we've got love and anger. Some people say love and hate. It's a mixed bag. They're both in his 8th house of secrets, subterfuge, debts, taxes, and most importantly, on a mundane level, other people's money. So it's taxes and income, let me see. Yes. But most importantly, it's secrets. And so there's a lot being unearthed here. And so when we're talking, let's say, about other people's money or our relationships, I'm thinking of Mexico. 7th house is allies. 8th house is their money. Trump has said that Mexico's going to pay for that wall. That may be the biggest issue going on this month. It's hard to say because moment by moment, there's another argument going on. There's another issue surfacing. So stay tuned. I'll keep you posted. Let me see when this is. The end, I want to say the 24th or the 25th of February, Mars enters Trump's 9th house of foreign travel, foreigners in general. It deals with the upper courts, education, religion, world trade, universities. I'm thinking of Trump University. But it's the expansion that we're looking at. Now, Mars is going to be up on Trump's midheaven, and I want to give you a heads up to when that's going to happen. Because when Mars is at the top of your chart on your midheaven, you throw yourself into the limelight. You throw yourself into your career. You claim your leadership. Well, he's already done that, so he's going to do it even more so, right around April 13th. Just watch, just see what's going on. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but I want to give you a little heads up, and I'll do this monthly. I will give you a thumbnail sketch of what's going on with Trump and the USA. And I've got notes all over the place. Those of you who do forecasts know there's so much involved. But, or should I say, and, The eclipses are huge every time they occur. We feel them about a week before they occur, and feel them, and they last until the next pair come along, which are usually a few months later, but they're really at their peak 3 to 4 months after they occur. So I think I'll stop here because there's lots of details involved here, and we have yet to see how all of this is going to shake out. So keep your eyes on the news. Tune in to my Trumpology report. And by the way, if you are interested in your own forecast, please go to my website, MaxineTaylor.com. Select the reading you like, and we'll go from there. So until we meet again, may the stars shine brightly on you and yours and the United States of America.